Hello and welcome to Pro Tour-Charleston. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Brian David Marshall, and we are ready for the semifinals. Ravnica team block constructed, and we're going to start out on the match between the Japanese new guard and the Japanese old guard. It's D25 against Kajiharu 80. Kajiharu 80 has three big names familiar to anyone who's been watching the Pro Tour. Tomohiro Kaji, Shuto Yasaoka, and Tamaharu Saito. They're playing against three guys who've been trying to break through that glass ceiling. Chikara Nakajima, Kazuya Mitamura, and the hero of that team, Ryuichi Arita, who has broken through that glass ceiling, gotten to the Pro Tour, and had some success.
Were you surprised to see Arita has 4 Pro Tour top 8s already?
Yeah, Arita is the star here. He's been picking up team top 8s. He's top 8'd in Seattle, and he's got a couple of extended top 8s as well. So he's the star, but he's playing with a couple of the up-and-comers. He went to the message board where the Japanese players trying to make it good have been gathering, have been sharing technology, and he plucked off the top 2 players he could find, Kazuya Mitamura and Chikara Nakajima. Now here they sit playing on Sunday, so successful. Ryuichi Arita and Shota Yasaoka now getting started. Both players go to turn 3 without any plays. 1 mulligan apiece, so each guy started with just 6 cards. Both players are playing Grand Arbiter decks. They've both got a lot of the same blue-white cards in their build. The real difference is that Arita chose to take his deck in a red direction with Niv-Mizzet and Razia's Purification, whereas Yasaoka took his deck black. He's got Angel of Despair, right?
Yeah.
He's got Trial Error as the card that could be awesome here.
I think Trial Error is going to be
multicolored threats.
I think Trial Error is going to be tremendous. Also have Wit's End out of the sideboard, which is a huge card post sideboard. The Wit's End, which is
discard your hand.
Discard your hand. This is also we were talking in the pregame show. This is an update of his blue-black Jushi control deck.
See, Arita is just cycling and electrolyze. You really get a sense that this is control on control. This is blue-white versus blue-white. Both players are interested in building up their mana and setting themselves up for big spells.
Repeal the Signet there.
Yeah, repeal the Signet. Arita is trying to cycle through some cantrips, trying to establish mana advantage by repealing a Signet. Makes sense. And then you see Arita looking over at his teammates as well. This format, these guys are allowed to communicate, so you're going to see all 3 guys on both sides of the table trying to help their buddies out, trying to follow 3 matches at the same time and see if they can give some advice here or stop their opponent from making a blunder there.
It was really funny to watch Masashi Oiso play over the course of the weekend, but he was almost playing 3 matches it seemed at times.
Suzuka replays the Signet. You talk about Masashi Oiso, his teammate, Asami Kataoka, they made money. She is now the first woman to win money in the history of the Pro Tour.
Wow.
Over 10 years. There had been people had done well at the Grand Prix. Michelle Bush had a 2nd place famously in New Orleans, but no woman had ever actually finished in the money at a Pro Tour until today.
It was possible that we would have had 2 women finish in the money.
Yeah, Melissa Del Toro.
Melissa Del Toro was playing for money in that last round with Brian Lynch.
Depending on her tiebreakers.
Depending on her tiebreakers. I mean, they were playing for it.
So, congratulations, Asami.
Compulsive research from Yasaoka. So is this going to be one of those control matchups? The first person to really try to go in for a big play ends up coming out on the losing end of a control fight. How do you engage your opponent in control on control? I mean, when do you know when it's time to make your move?
Well, sometimes your hand is going to force the decision on you. Like if you run out of spells and you're forced to discard, it's better to play something and break the tension than discard, usually. I mean, there are situations where you might rather even discard than blink first. Playing a compulsive research like Shuto Yasaoka is doing right now, perfectly reasonable. He's still going to have 5 mana up to fight a permission war if it comes to that.
And he'd happily trade the compulsive research for a permission card, right?
Right. The scary part isn't that he might get compulsive research countered. The scary part is that his opponent now sees a window to actually get a threat through because he's limited in the number of his own counters that he's going to be able to play. Notice, by the way, that Yasaoka discarded 2 spells to compulsive research. He's got a land in his hand. We can see it on the screen right now. He's not discarding land. Land is tremendous control on control. It's all about mana advantage, so he got rid of 2 mediocre spells instead of 1 land.
He's going to draw plenty more counter spells along the way and spells he might run out of land. You want to be able to just fight as hard as you can when it finally comes down to that big gunfight, right?
The ideal way to break the control and control sort of stalemate is pick a fight at the end of your opponent's turn. If you have an instant that your opponent cares about, if you can come up with some sort of instant speed threat, play it at the end of the opponent's turn, fight a counter war, then you get to then untap and play this threat that you really care about. That's the best way to break it. I don't know if these guys have very many instants. I don't think that's the way this particular one is going to play out.
Looking at these two decks, there are no game-breaking instant speed spells.
Wow, on another table, we've got a Helldozer on the board. We'll see if we can check in on some of the other matches.
These guys are just sitting here playing lands right now.
Sounds like there's a Helldozer in play on table A. We'll try to go peeking on that matchup while these guys jockey for position.
That would be Chikara Nakajima, the PTQ standout from Japan.
That's Ryuichi. That is on your screen right now is Tomohiro Kaji, level 5 mage. Really had a spectacular year last year and has continued to have a good year. And he's got Moroi out on his side of the board. However, he is indeed being attacked. Chikara Nakajima just sent Helldozer into the red zone and played another one. Double Helldozer for Chikara Nakajima. Wow. I mean, people think of Helldozer as the land destruction icer. Kashi's got plenty of land, but he's still 6'6". Smash!
He's taking 13 a turn there right now, unless he does something.
Will not take long at 13 a turn.
Oh, is
that Skeletal Vampire?
The dreaded Skeletal Vampire.
Kaji, is that enough? He'll get a 3/3 and a couple of tokens, so I guess he can block one with a token, block with a vampire, regenerate the vampire.
But he doesn't have the extra mana to be able to get an extra bat token this turn to work with.
Right. But if he risks one bat in combat,
right, one bat, he can tie up both Helldozers with one bat, one vampire, regenerate the vampire, and next turn get back to a point where he makes 2 bats. So he can actually now occupy those 2 Helldozers all day long.
That one Skeletal Vampire will block 2 Helldozers forever.
Skeletal Vampire is definitely, I think, the big breakout star this weekend.
I completely agree.
In terms of Ravnica block cards.
Turns out to be a tremendously powerful card. Well, looks like Nakajima is now on the land destruction plan. That's one way to fight Skeletal Vampire's ability to make more bats.
And I think it would be challenging in this format for Helldozer to not untap after destroying a land.
Destroys the land, and does he?
It untaps, and he swings with both.
He swings with both, basically just to kill a bat. I mean, he knows all he gets out of this is one bat token down, but
Kaji's
right.
Kaji's at 8.
And Kaji's at 8, so he's
which is also 7 with the Moroi coming up next turn.
I found it really interesting how many people were making plays just to be able to get rid of bat tokens. Like, there was this whole Skeletal Vampire game all weekend where people were like, Savage Twister, yes, I have dealt with Skeletal Vampire. Now it's just a Phantom Monster. Right. Or, I mean, what you wanted to do was, Skeletal Vampire, bat tokens on the stack, Lightning Helix it. Like, that was your window to try to kill a vampire. Otherwise, people made these elaborate plays to just kill a couple of tokens. But that's, hey, you do what you got to do.
As a result of Skeletal Vampire being so good, Putrefy became a phenomenal card this weekend. It was very powerful. It killed Skeletal Vampire without having to even consider the tokens.
Kaji plays a Carbon Caryatid, draws a card.